both of which, if they get passports, will attach themselves to that squad in Joburg, and we'll find out if they are then of the right material. Are they experienced enough? Do they know how we play? Can they blend with the team? All of those questions, and we will make that decision. And the squad will be cut to 23 before then departing to a place where we will play 2 games before then dropping into Egypt and having the final preparations there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Coach. Members of the media, now is your cheese. Already there's a hand at the back. If you can just say who you are, sir, where you from?
Tsapotowani, ENCA. Coach, the obvious one, Kermit Erasmus. Maybe if you can explain why did you decide to take him to AFCON? Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know why it's the obvious one, but that's obviously a media thing. No, Kermit is one of the players that has been around us. We chose not to include him in previous camps because I always felt it was too quick. I had a long conversation with Benny McCarthy pre the last camp, where I explained to Benny I thought he'd done a good job with Kermit, putting his arm around him, making him feel important again, and bringing him back into the fold, so to say. I also said to Benny, and he agreed with me, that I couldn't guarantee Kermit that place in Bafana, and I thought when he came back he should be really well equipped and understand the situation, and I think he understands the situation now because he's worked hard during the season. We've selected him as being one of the players that, you know, we've got a nice combination of Lebo Matiba and Percy Tau, and what we're looking at is profiling our players. So Kermit can play both of those roles. He can play a 9 or he can play as the shadow striker, as can Lebo Mabui, and that's why we've Lars Velvik. He's also a 9. He's the one that can play there. We do have others, and we just profiling the players. So Kermit's done well. He's got himself back in the frame, and without promising him anything, he's done well enough to get himself back into the pack.
Yes, sir.
Brabani or Stuart, just you. I did say it earlier.
Your name.
Mark Stradham, Tisa Blackstar again.
Come on, Mark. What's your name?
Mark, tell him you forgot the name.
Hey?
Tell him you forgot your name.
How do you know, Brabani? Okay, sorry. Just in terms of logistics, you did mention there have been changes. I was just trying to understand.
Yeah.
So on June 12, we leave South Africa.
Yeah.
Is the Dubai leg cut out? There was going to be a heat acclimatization. There was also a friendly against Ghana there.
Yeah.
Does that fall away? Have we finalized the friendly in South Africa? I think there was maybe Zambia, but we hadn't confirmed. Yeah. And do we know the friendlies in Egypt?
Right.
And just those logistics, yeah.
Okay, let's look at have a bit of patience now, because this could swing backwards and forwards. The initial intention was that in some way that COSAFA would be used as a preparation for AFCON. That very, very quickly, before we had our press conference, that very quickly showed itself to be totally impossible. Hence, you see Angola have pulled out and Madagascar have pulled out because they don't think that they can put together 2 squads. So that very quickly became impossible. So then we selected a squad that we thought would represent us in COSAFA, and then another one simultaneously would be on camp in Joburg. As a part of that Joburg leg, we said we would leave some doors open for the COSAFA squad, which are still, by the way, I failed to mention that. We still have a couple of players that we have eyes on that we think can, in the event, for example, of Joel and Nicola not getting their passports, we can increase our squad by at least 2. So we could take them up, and probably the younger ones, and invest international game time with them. We were going to go into camp, then go to Dubai. we fixed the game against Ghana on the 15th, and then we were going to go on to Egypt and try to play one more game before the start. What it looks like now, the Dubai leg has been shortened, and let's be honest, that doesn't hurt us financially. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to get two games in that leg of the camp, rather than have to go to Egypt and play games there, which is becoming difficult because people don't want to be playing games as you're getting that close to the start of the tournament, which we understand and which is better for us. So we'll have a preparation part in South Africa. We will go to the Arab Emirates, and we will play 2 games there. That's our intention. 1 North African and Ghana. And then we will leave and go into Egypt, where we'll have just a purely preparation and polishing part of the camp before the start against Ivory Coast. Day after the 16th. We'll leave on the 5th. We'll play on the 15th. Leave on the 16th. 12th. So what we'll do is we'll fly into Dubai just to play the 2 games. Yeah.
There's a microphone there.
Coach, over here.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, Benjamin from Newsroom Africa. Mark's already covered my first question. The other one is, by his own admission, Ronwin hasn't exactly taken his chances in the Bafana squad. But would you say this award of goalkeeper of the season, and having played all of SuperSport's games this season, perhaps places him one step ahead in the pecking order, ahead of Darren, who perhaps hasn't played as much as he would have liked towards the end of the season?
It's a good point, because Darren actually, another one, called me and asked me, do I play in Kosafa? This was before he got back into the team and played a couple of games at the back end of the season. Look, I think I've said before that Ronwin and Darren are so close that it usually comes down to opponents, how are they training, practice games, and it will be the same. What I would say about Ronwin is that sometimes I feel that he doesn't feel he's as good as we do. You know, he's such a talented goalkeeper, but sometimes he has this, maybe he has old baggage that he can't put down. But I think he needs to believe in himself more, because he's a very talented goalkeeper. Darren has shown a very strong mentality, and he's a stubborn professional that doesn't want to give away his place. So that's usually a good fight when we're on camp. Now, maybe the award will help Ronwin to put down some of that baggage and maybe put him in a better space to make another fist of it and see if he can get the number 1 spot. But for us, for Malefi and myself, it's a constant source of energy, because you see those two and a young buck going at it in training, and there's a lot of energy there, so it's great. But it's a good question. I think it will help him.
Coach Mbali Shope from KFM. Coach, North Africa, especially Egypt, can be very intimidating. And going to such a major tournament, do you think there's a need for a sports psychologist? And also, with the recent bombing that took place on Sunday, I know it's got nothing to do with sports, but surely that also can affect players, as the players' psyche ahead of the tournament, because they may be really not sure what is really going on, having known the history of Egypt in the last few years.
I think the players understand through their club experiences, and if they didn't understand it before, when we went to Libya to play Libya in Tunisia, we saw how intimidating it can be. So I think the players did very, very well to cope with that. Security on site, I'm sure, will be bumped up now. But I played I played in Northern Ireland when I was with England in the middle of the riots, where they said to us, if it kicks off, assemble in the centre circle and we'll drop a helicopter and get you out of there. That was pretty intimidating, but I think the only way you can deal with it is by focusing completely on football. And that's all I'll be speaking about to the players. You know, the more I speak about this psychologist is going to help you to deal with the bomb threats, I don't think I'm going to help the players. So I will try and get us into a bubble. I'll try and get us into a little bit maybe of a siege mentality and say that we're here to play football. We're not here to think politics. We're not here to worry about what may happen. We're here to make sure that we give the best performances that we can give. I think anything less than that, and you're treading a very, very dodgy road. You know, I mean, let's be fair. We can go anywhere in the world today. You know, my family live in probably one of the most civilized places in the world, in Sweden, where you think things are so easy going. Not less than a month ago, in the little sleepy village that we lived in, someone was decapitated. Someone that was absolutely out of his tree on drugs had tried to chop the head off a young girl. Now, that can frighten the living daylights, and I could sell my house and move somewhere else, but unfortunately we are living in that world. Before we went to, I'll tell you this, I don't know if I should really, but before we went to Libya, a doctor told me that he thought I'd got cancer. I went to Tunisia, and I said, no, I'm not going to get tested. I want to go. I've got a game to play. I don't want that in my mind. Bloody difficult trying to coach a team when you think you could have cancer. I got back and they did the test and it was okay, thank goodness. But, you know, we have to deal with those things. I dealt with it. The lads will deal with it. And when we get there, I'll only be focused on enjoy this event. Enjoy this and make the country proud. That's it. I don't want to be thinking about too much. And I understand your question because it's a relevant point. But our job is to get there and make sure that sport is the main motivator for us, and making people proud and not concentrating on the negatives by just saying, listen, we're here to enjoy this. We've done well as a team to get here. We're not here as tourists, and we're certainly not here to worry about the politics of the country or the leanings of this group against that group. No, we're there to go and win football games. So probably to answer your question, I don't think the psychologists will be there for that reason. If we do, it'll be for different reasons.
Coach, John D. Mark from the Citizen newspaper. If I can count, which is debatable, there's 28 players plus the 2, plus Tavares and Unterseer makes 30. You've got to whittle that down to 23.
Yeah.
So the fact that there are 5 more players there, doesn't that make it a little bit more difficult for the players who are playing in the COSAFA Cup to stake their claim? I mean, it's going to be a to the squad. And then when will you announce your final 23? And also just a couple more small things. You said in a previous press conference you were going to take some youngsters along to Egypt for the ride.
Can you hold on to that one? We'll come to it. That's a third question. So
the other one's just Mark Fish. What's the latest on Mark Fish?
Okay. Let's take that one to start with. Well, I think the leadership are talking to Mark about how we would best sort this out. He's meant to be going down to COSAFA and then following us on in the capacity that I mentioned in terms of player liaison and then visiting people abroad and that sort of thing. The players in this squad, yes, we don't know if we're going to have Joel and Nicola. Even if we do, we still think that those 4 players, we may have to whittle it to 2. But we still think that there are players in David's squad that deserve to have more international experience given to them, because we want to be sure that, and this is again a part of the longer road and the bigger picture. We need to invest as a country, invest international game time into players that we've profiled that will benefit from it. So therefore, we have to be a little bit more, maybe, resolute in our determination to select the right type of players, even if I understand that you guys would prefer this one, who's really in form at the moment, and we've got to make a bigger decision than that. So, investing international game time into the right players, I think there's a couple in David's group that really deserve that. And so, even though there may have been a player that we've rewarded with a place in the senior group, he may not go, while a player that's David's had that's outstanding in 2 games, and we know he's the future, he may go. Does that, in some way, answer it?
The younger players that you might take to Egypt.
I don't want to put any more pressure on them than that, but I think there's a few that is pretty obvious. I'm not going to go into that. David and Malefi and myself will have a conversations daily to see who's doing well.
When do you name your final 23?
Well, I think there's a registration, Barney, isn't it? There's a registration. Is it the 11th?
The last 23 players must be submitted to CAF 10 days before the first match of the tournament. And if my calculations are right, we are looking at the 11th, the 12th. We must be having a 23-man squad coach, and that is the period.
So that would give you probably just before we leave. If we're leaving on the 12th, just before we leave, 10th, 11th, something like that.
Yes, sir, the microphone. Okay, let's start here.
Okay, Matlatz Mpatlela from Tiso Blackstar. Coach, what is the composition of your technical team? And it looks like you have put yourself in trouble, because the last time we checked with Kermit, he's not a bench player.
If any of the squad that we've picked there want to tell the leadership of the national team they're not bench players, then they'll be quickly removed from the list. I don't think that Kermit, in a sensible moment, would make that sort of comment. But I can understand when people tell him you should have been in the squad, and why not this and why not that and blah blah blah. An excitable Kermit may make a throwaway comment like that, and as do a lot of players. So rather than listen to comments made by players in their disappointment, I would rather, in a calm moment, select them for the squad, and in a calm moment have a discussion with him about, I can't guarantee you a place. That's why I said Benny has been able to guarantee him a place and put his arm around him and make him feel some love. If it's only playing that is the criteria there, then you can't attach yourself to a national team, because the same way as Benzema couldn't be promised a place in the French team, I can't promise Kermit a place in our team. Technical team, obviously Malefi, who's been outstanding with me. I have to say, sometimes the assistant is there but not there to you guys. But Malefi's a great foil for me when we're on camp. We discuss things. He doesn't just listen and say yes. We have an open discussion on things. We try very much to speak the same language to the players, even though his language is a little bit difficult for me to understand sometimes. But he's been brilliant, and he will continue. We've got Josh Smith and as the physical coach, and Andre Aronson as the goalkeeper coach. I would hope that we will get the staff that we want. I understand that the clubs have problems with releasing their staff when they are in the beginning of pre-season. I would hope that the desire to want to help Bafana in what is their first major tournament for quite a while, I would hope that will override any sort of personal issues. So those are the members of staff. The Dr. Ngwenya also, he's always with us, and he's a credit to his profession, and we enjoy working with him.
Coach Tsapang from Kickoff, just to follow up on that quickly. You talk about PSL clubs maybe probably wanting their staff to work with the national team. Is there a PSL club that you approach to try and get one of their technical team members perhaps? And with Ben Motswari, he's been included in squad. He hasn't played in the Afcon qualifiers. Just what is it that he was able to do to force his way in up to now?
Well, I've approached a lot of the clubs, or we have approached a lot of the clubs, and about the technical staff, because we thought that we were also preparing the technical staff for 2 squads. If you remember, in the beginning, before David's gang took over, then we were preparing two technical squads. I approached a lot of the clubs, and some of them showed their concerns, and we spoke, and it was sort of allayed. I'm hoping that will be the case now, that we don't have any issues with the release of people to the national team. Ben Motswari, I just think he's been consistent. He's been consistent. Pirates have played a brand of football that has been very dynamic. And in that dynamic approach, sometimes you can lose the ball a lot and you can go too quick, and there can be a lot of transitions. I think Ben Motswari has shown a very good mentality to go with a good understanding of the game, and he's been consistent. And you know, when you're picking people for tournaments, you want also consistency. You want to make sure you don't miss out on having people that can change the game. Tembi Lorch has been grabbing all the headlines, but he still needs people like Ben Motswari who will do the structure pieces to allow him to play. So I think that's the important part for me, and that's why I would like him, even though I'm not guaranteeing him a place in AFCON. I would like him to feel that being in this squad is a reward for a lot of hard work.
Saza from Tiso. Coach, last time we spoke, you were very keen on Kune. What happened? When did you give up on him?
No, I'm always keen on Kune because he's a good goalkeeper. But unfortunately, if a player's not fit, I can't be too keen on him. Itu's not fit. He's not played games. He's not back in full training. He's not featuring for Chiefs at all. So to count on Itu would be a massive miss in our calculations. So we've waited and we've looked, and we've from afar said, look, if he shows signs of getting back into things, that we'll readdress it. But it never got that far because we've seen he's not even on the bench.
Coach Velile, talking of consistency, one of the players who's been part of your qualifiers, Lebogang Phiri, we've seen how consistent he's been for his club. Not dwelling much on players who have not been selected, but was he ever considered even for the COSAFA squad? What could he be lacking that he can make in these 2 squads? And also, if you can just update us on maybe a farewell match before leaving the country.
Okay. The farewell match, I don't know anything about. So we'll play, and if we get a game, we get a game. I don't know anything about that, honestly. So I'm not going to dwell on that one. I don't want to open myself up to more. If we get one, we get one. I'd love one, but nice to have. With Lebo, look, Lebo's in the picture all the time. He's one of the best professionals that we have. He's a fantastic ambassador for our football abroad. He never puts a foot wrong. When I speak to his club, they love him to bits. So, of course, he's always in the mix. But look, we've got some good. What I think that's the department that we've got most talented players. You know, we got Camo, we got Bongani, we got the home base players like Klompo and Taboko Mokoena, people like that you're always in your thoughts. And you've got Serrero now that's come back, and he's come back strongly. So to the degree where he's on the bench for the team of the year in Holland, so he's also staking a claim. And it's just a case sometimes that you just can't get them all in. Now I would love to have an extra place and bring Lebo Piri, because he deserves it. He really does. He's one of those that works hard, great attitude. I'll give you an example. I sent him a message. I was trying to call him before making a squad announcement earlier, and I couldn't get a hold of him. So he called me back, and I said to him, "Look, you didn't make it." And he went on this soliloquy of "Coach, don't worry about me. I'll keep pushing. I'll try and force your hand. I'm going to make sure I'm my hands up for the next camp, and all the best." And he's like, I don't know whether I should select him or adopt him. He's like that. So it's not easy, and selecting these squads is not easy. And cutting that, so I think someone said, cutting that to 23, it ain't going to be easy, because there's going to be a lot of those that I think should be there and they don't make it. But that's some of the hard calls.
Can we take the last few questions? Let's start over there. We'll come to you, sir.
Okay, talking about, Timothy from SABC. A quick one, Coach. Talking about the players that have been part of the qualifiers, one name that keeps on popping up in your starting lineups in the build-up during the qualifiers, it's Aubrey Modiba. I just want to find out, was he even in the picture in the first place? Because if you look at the last trip that we took to Libya, he also made the 18 and also make a sub in that game. Was he even in the picture? And given the fact that he gives the team the versatility from left back to the left wing as well.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, because he's been around all the time. Of course, he's in the picture. I mean, I've only got the number of players that I've got, and we have to, when we select this larger squad, we have to have some idea of what the squad may be going forward. Aubrey gives us 3 players in one, so he really is a player that you would like to have in the squad. But trying to find the balance and trying to accommodate everybody, I mean, you could also use Bradley Grobler. Bradley has been outstanding for me, both when I was at Supersport and when I've called him into the national team. So that sort of player you'd love to make room for, but I just can't accommodate everybody. And Malefi and myself, we were saying that having Aubrey's all-round versatility would be very nice to have. But then who do you leave out? Do you leave out a normal left back, or one of the wide midfield players, or do you leave out one of the centre midfield players? So his versatility maybe works against him a little bit in this case. But yeah, I like Aubrey, and I don't need to tell him that I think he's a very good player.
Coach Uzakele from Isoleza. Coach, you've got award winners in your team, and those were nominated for the awards. I know consistency and form might be key to these kinds of tournaments. With regard to Tim Gosilodge, do you believe he can give you something this time around? You've used him before, but as a sub. And after winning the award, he said he hopes that he have convinced you to start him in your upcoming matches.
Yeah, I mean, I've got this, and this is not about Tembi saying anything, or Kermit saying anything, or Itu saying anything, or it's not about that. But the media like the talk, and we like the walk. So it's when we come onto camp. I like Tembi's a good player. Tembi deserves the awards because he's been very dynamic, and he's been a personality for Pirates that's captured the crowds and the voters, and now he has to convince us, because he's up against good players. Temba Zwane, also had a good season. Keegan Dolly's also had a good season. If you look at Keegan's potential, then he's up against some good players there. We can slot other players into that hole where Tembi will play in between the lines and burst in on past people, and he's got to be better than them. So for me, he's not going to convince me he's a good player, but he's got to convince me he's better than what we've got, and that's why I select him, because I think he has the potential to do that. When he does that, 15-20 minutes against Nigeria, he comes on and scores, and he convinces me. So that's That's the reality of the international game. You've got to come to a camp. Sometimes you don't know the players you're playing with. Sometimes you don't know the players you're playing against. And in a week, usually, you've got to give a performance. Now, if he reproduces his Pirates play on camp with us, that turns my arm up my back. You know, that's the truth of it.
Okay, we'll have the last two questions at the back. Seppo and the gentleman in white shirt.
Coach Bandile from Football Conversations. Coach, I believe that the selection criteria composed of consistency, combinations, experience, and trust. I just want to understand that. Can you elaborate further why the inclusion of Cardoso as the defenders? It's made up mainly of best players. That's combination. Experience, it goes with Mamelodi Sundowns because of they contain a wealth of experience in continental football. But Cardoso, can you share some light with us?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's you're obviously not a Cardoso fan, so I mean, no matter what I say now, it's going to fall on deaf ears. But we're not talking about criteria all the time. You're talking about balancing the squad. You know, if you balance the squad, then you need different characters. You need characters that you take a lot of players to a tournament. And when I pick the 11 players that are going to be on the field for the Ivory Coast game, I'll guarantee you there's going to be a lot of players that are not happy. Now, when you pick a squad, you want to make sure that you've got some good characters in the dressing room that will put their arm around people and talk and say, hey, don't worry, keep going. Daniel Cardoso is that sort of person. He can play right back, so he's versatile. If you look there and we're saying, well, Nick, Joel Untersea are maybe not there, then we've only got Tammy and Rama. So he gives us an option there. Tyson gives you an option there, but I'm not sure I want to break up the captain in the centre of the defence. So it's about balancing the squad, both in terms of where we can fill if we get injuries, and also in terms of his character. I think Daniel Cardoso is a very good professional. He's not the sexiest player in the PSL in terms of being easy on the eye and coming out and playing and doing things, but I think he's a very competitive professional footballer, and I think that's given the other options I've got. I think that's one that balances the squad best.
Coach, looking still on the defence, Rama is one of the eldest statesmen in the team.
Yeah.
I know you still have to cut the players, but if he is part of the team going to Egypt, the role that you're expecting from him, what is it?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Very similar answer to the one I've just given, really, because we've got two right backs. We've got Joel and Nick, can both play right back. We've got Tammy Mkize. If suddenly the passports don't arrive, then Rama is the experienced player that we know he'll not be fazed by anything. So I'm not sitting on the edge of my seat hoping that the passport department are going to issue passports or not, because I know I've got Rama. And Rama could, if they come, he could dig his heels in and say, no, my goodness, I'm not leaving my shirt in Joburg while you go to Egypt. So I know he's a competitor with experience, and he won't be fazed. And I would rather do that in this instance than pick the youngest one. Maybe for you guys a little bit more, whoa, that's interesting. But when we get there, he'll be rabbit in the headlights. You know, maybe someone like Reeve Frosler can put up his hand in Kosafa in the event of that happening. That's some of the rationale that we've had, myself and David.
The very last question here.
Matsilani from the Star. Coach, it's by the sound of it, you've got a very good squad, and you still are going to have a headache deciding who to choose for the final squad. Are we going to bring back the trophy home?
Well, I said I think I probably said it when we had a little breakfast in here not so long ago. I said, honestly, I find it. Now, I'm not going to say funny because that's not the right word. I find it strange to say that if you go back to when we played Libya at home, the headline in the Sowetan the day after was "To hell with Bafana," because we drew 0-0. And from "To hell with Bafana," we go to "You're going to win the trophy." I must have done a fantastic job to improve the team so much. I don't think I have. I think it's been a logical development, and I think we've used a set policy to try and develop the team, and I think we have. And the younger players, because there's a clear profile, the younger players have also developed, and David can take his team and play in this way, knowing that is suitable for the seniors. So I don't think we were as bad as "To hell with Bafana" then, and I don't think we're as good as "Well, go and win it now." What we should be doing, and this is not meant to any sort of criticism to you, because I know that is a question that many will ask. Do you think you can win AFCON? I've said this. I've said if we go to AFCON with the mentality of that they don't think we're that good, but let's be better than they think. They don't think that South Africa have done anything for a long time. Well, let's do something. And if we represent the country like that, I'm sure the country will be proud of us. If we get a horrible decision against us and we lose a game, I think people will have patience knowing that we're doing the right thing and we're leaving our hearts out on the field. I want to make sure that we do that. I don't want to burden the players with saying, we must. What we must do is we must give everything we've got, work as hard as we can in our preparation, and go out and do the best we can to make people proud. That's what we must do. And then I'll say, if we get through the group stages, which I think we can, then I think Bafana will take on its own little life. And then, with that sort of situation, people will not want to play us, I'll guarantee you. So given that, I'm not saying, yes, we're going to win it, but what I'm saying is there is a certain scenario that if it happens, that we're going to be a force.
Thank you very much, Coach. Thank you to you members of the media for all your questions. Very intriguing, very interesting. And as the team manager said earlier, as soon as we've sorted out or confirmed some details, we will duly forward them to you in terms of logistical details that we need for the two teams. As soon as we have those finalized, we will let you know. Thanks to Team Manager Brabani, thanks to David Notwan, who will be heading the COSAFA Cup team, Coach Stuart Baxter, as well as Sandy Lemkari next to me, and to you members of the media for being so patient with us. It's been a long one, but it was worth it. Thank you very much. See you soon. Have a lovely day.